Welcome to the Adult Man, guys. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Vincero Vessel. I'm going to discuss what I like, what I don't like, and ultimately, whether or not you should pick one up for yourself. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, let's start by talking about some of the specifications of the Vincero Vessel. It has a 316L stainless steel case, which in this case, this version that I got that I really liked, came in a brushed bronze. They also feature your standard stainless steel color, as well as a navy case, which you can get with the NATO band as well. All those style options, all those color options, I really liked, but this one, overall, the brushed brass with the black silicone strap, that one really caught my eye. I really liked the look of it, and it was a lot different than any other watch that I had in my collection already. So that's why I ultimately decided to pick this one up. Like all other Vincero watches, the Vessel runs with a Miyota quartz movement. Now, this movement isn't the sexiest, it's not an automatic, there's nothing necessarily special about it, but it's a very reliable, very inexpensive watch movement, and you'll see it in a lot of watches at a similar price point run with the same Miyota movement, and there's a reason for it. It's just because it is a great value. The Vessel here is 44 millimeters in diameter. It's 12 millimeters high, and the case, the lug width is 22 millimeters, so it works with any 22 millimeter strap you have. This is a little bit too tall, a little too bulky, actually I should say a lot of it too bulky, to fit underneath a dress shirt sleeve, and you really wouldn't want to do it with this style anyway. This is definitely a casual watch. And I like to wear it with my sleeves rolled up. I think that's a really cool look. And because it is kind of an imposing watch and it's a statement, I like to have it on its own and kind of give it its own space. The watch crystal is sapphire coated mineral glass. Now, a lot of watches at the similar price point would have a totally sapphire crystal, and I would like to see that in more of Vincero stuff as they continue to grow. But at the moment, having a sapphire coating is good enough to keep away a lot of those scratches that you'd find on a mineral glass. So if you look at this picture I've just put up, you can see what happens to mineral glass over the years. Now, I've had this watch for about 8 years, and I have not treated it very well. I haven't been very delicate with it. So this is picking up more scratches. Not every mineral crystal is gonna look like this, but still, if you're wearing a watch every day like I wore this watch, this Fossil, you can really see how much damage it picks up over the years if it's just mineral glass. Now, with something like the Vessel, the sapphire coating, again, it's not perfect because it's not a sapphire crystal, but the sapphire coating will keep away most, if not all, of those scratches that you see on that Fossil in that picture I showed. The dial is all black with white indices, and those are coated or lined with polished brass, which I think really plays nicely off the brushed brass, that's really hard to say, the case. There are two crowns. The crown on the bottom controls the date, the time, and that's just a simple 3-position crown. So pull it out halfway and that will adjust the date, and then you pull it out all the way and that will adjust the hour and the minute hands. The crown on top actually adjusts that interior bezel, and it goes both ways. So if you go to, let's see, if you scroll it up, it goes backwards. If you scroll it down, it goes forwards. All right, guys, here's what I like about the Vincero Vessel. Number one, the design is a totally unique take on a classic dive watch. Now, it has a ton of elements that harken back to dive watches that you'll see elsewhere, but this one has been stripped down to its parts. It's a more minimal design, and it kind of gets rid of a lot of the extra bells and whistles that you'd see that you would need for a dive watch that you take diving. I would not recommend actually going diving for this. I'll get into why that is in a little bit. Number two, I like that this is big and imposing. I like the fact that it looks good on my wrist, that it's pretty chunky. It's not a small watch by any means. Vincero doesn't do very many small watches. They usually stick to at least 40 millimeters, but having a 44 millimeter with a 12 millimeter height, it's a very imposing piece, very masculine, very strong, and so I love that. Number three, the elevated casual style. Vincero nails this look perfectly. They did it with the Altitude, where they're kind of getting more into tool watches, but they're keeping it still a little bit, I wouldn't say dressy, it's not dressy, it's definitely a casual watch, but the fact is these do look a little bit classy. The shine to them, the minimalist look in the dial. They kind of bring all those elements together, and ultimately it's just a very sleek looking casual watch. Number 4, free worldwide shipping and a 2-year warranty. Pretty hard to beat that. And number 5, here's a little tip for you guys. If you enter the code TAM15, you will get an extra 15% off of your order or anything you order from Vincero if you enter again the code TAM15 for 15% off. Okay guys, here's what I don't like about the Vessel. That crown on the top is very sensitive, so sometimes I'll look down at that interior bezel and I'll notice that it's slightly off. And while it's not a huge deal, that does take the Vessel out of the running if you're using this as an actual dive watch. So we've covered the specs, what I like and what I don't like, but we need to cover whether or not you should pick up one of these for yourself. Now, last time I checked, this watch was about, I think it was $210 online. If you use the code TAM15, you'll get 15% off, and that will bring it under $200. So I think considering that price, the fact that it runs with a Miyota quartz movement means it's not going to die. It's going to last years and years. It's not going to lose time. It's going to keep running, very, very reliable. You'll have to probably switch the battery every 3 to 4 years, but that's not much of a problem. You take it to a jeweler or the mall and they'll just swap it out for you, no problem, like boom, just like that. Couple that with the fact that it has a sapphire coated crystal. Again, you saw the mineral crystal. You can see how much that gets scuffed up over the course of 8 years. But I do have other watches in my collection that are just as old, but have sapphire coated crystals, and those don't have any scratches on them whatsoever. The specs all add up to a great value, but the look is really what separates the Vessel from other watches. If you enjoyed this video, please tap the subscribe button down below. You can head over to theadultman.com to get a more detailed review with some pretty pictures that goes over the Vessel, as well as a bunch of other reviews that we've done on Vincero watches or some other watches that you might also find interesting. You can also join the Adult Man fam by following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. That handle is just @theadultman. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you're thinking about getting a Vessel, you can head over to Vincero. The link is in their description below. And again, enter that code TAM15 and you'll get 15% off your entire purchase. So that's it for us. Stay manly.